Hello, everybody, and welcome to LOAH Live. LOAH Light on a Hill and LOAH Live. Welcome, 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 welcome. I am back for another impromptu for a little weekly chat. Just want to give it a minute or two and make sure we get some things together here. And I'm going to be joined by my assistant director, Miss Yolanda Parks, is going to be joining us. Just want to get set up here so that I can see all of the lovely comments, if there be any. It is Monday. Monday. And it's cold. It does not feel like a spring day whatsoever to me. But yeah, it's cold, y'all. I hope everybody had a fabulous Mother's Day weekend. You know how that goes, whether you have given birth to biological children or whether you are godmom, grandmom, sister mom, niece mom, friend mom, mentor mom. Y'all know the deal. You know how it goes. Not every person who lives and walks in that role in somebody's life is the actual biological mother. So shout out to all of the mothers on Mother's Day. And to Yolanda, who is a mother.
I am. Thank you.
Of two fabulous children.
They are.
So, what are we going to talk about this lovely, lovely Monday?
Okay.
Not so warm as it should be either. I'll tell you what we're going to talk about, since it's Mother's Day, or was Mother's Day, on yesterday. So, interestingly enough, I have more than once had the conversation with individuals who have made what is like a similar statement as it pertains to Mother's Day. I've heard it on Mother's Day where you don't hear it as often, where a man is saying, I should be celebrated on Mother's Day because, I'm a single dad. I'm taking care of these kids on my own. Sidebar. Oh, yeah, I look cute. She is just cute. But we don't hear too often, excuse me, when, males make the claim to be celebrated on Mother's Day because they are doing the darn thing by themselves, right? In the absence of a mother. But it has been said. Because interestingly enough, I have had the conversation with both a woman and a man in regard to the statement on Father's Day. We hear it a lot, that, there are women who should be celebrated on Father's Day because they are a single mom, right? So, me being me, I want to talk about it. But I want to talk about it with y'all. That's what I'm gonna talk about with. Because I get it, I get why the statement would be made. I get why one would feel that way. I was raised, nobody would ever know it today, hallelujah, because of the amazing amazeballs, I say, relationship that I have with my dad. People are shocked when they find out that my mom was pretty much a single mom. I was raised with my siblings in the home without my biological father in the home. And so for all of my life that I can remember, okay? So when I share my little thoughts, if you will, concerning the statements when they are made, I'm not speaking as a woman and a mother who doesn't know what it's like to, one, be raised in a home without both parents, and two, I'm not speaking about it as a mother myself who raised two children, my biological children, in a home without their fathers. So I want to talk about that because here's my initial thoughts and feelings about it. I feel that it is not, although not a wrong thing to say or expect, I think it is not a fair thing to say and expect. And the reason I say that is because, again, we don't hear men a lot say, I want to be celebrated on Mother's Day because my baby mama or my children's mother, because I can't stand the phrase baby mama. That's a whole nother segment. I felt you don't like the phrase baby mama. No. Yeah, because I ain't nobody's baby mama. I am a mother. Okay. And so to me, baby mama just has a connotation to it, and a not so pleasant one. That's just my little humble opinion. But again, we don't hear men like too often. Now I've heard it because I have had the conversation, but we don't hear men too often saying, staking claim to, it's Mother's Day, I want to be celebrated because I'm raising my children without their mom. But I hear all the time, and I know, let me be fair, I know that it's because if I'm gonna take a guess, okay, I could be wrong, but I'm gonna take a guess. A lot of it, I'm sure, has to do with the fact that more homes have children being raised in them, if it's a single parent home with mom, versus with dad. Or that used to be the case. The climate that we live in, all kinds of things have changed. Mm-hmm. And so there are more men who, in fact, let me throw this nugget out there. Well, no, I won't do that. Ooh, I'm so glad I know those. I won't do that. But in these times that we live in, and the climate that we live in, there are more men who are single-handedly raising their children and grandchildren, without, in the absence of a female, a mom or mother figure. So The reason that I think it is not a fair statement or expectation is because, well, I'm coming from a couple different angles. So everybody, or most people, if you didn't, you're about to find out, know that I happen to be a minister. I'm an ordained evangelist, right? And so I'm coming from a couple of angles. One of the angles being a Christian, as a believer, believing in God and, having faith in God and trusting in God, who I know as a protector and a provider and, all these things that he is as God, right? But even in the conversation with someone who doesn't believe in God, I still think it's an unfair statement simply because I think if the day is intentional to celebrate moms, Mother's Day, again, those being whether it is biological or figuratively or whatever the case might be, then it should be just that. And I don't feel that that takes away from all that woman puts into raising children or a child on her own. So let me be very clear, again, as a woman, as a mother, and as a mother who raised both of my children in the home without a male figure, a father figure in the home, okay? I did that. I lived that. So I'm not just out here willy-nilly throwing out an opinion, right? It's based on my experience. And I understand that there's a whole lot of people who won't agree with me, who don't agree with me. I'm not going to argue with you. We just talking, having conversation. And I'm just sharing because that's what this platform is about. I'm just sharing what I think and how I feel, and you are very welcome whether you join us on this live because it's so unscheduled and off the cuff. Y'all know how we do. We just pop up.
That's it.
When the opportunity presents, we just pop up. But share whether it's you join the live or whether it's you watch it later. If you want to reach out, let me throw this in here now. If you want to email me about it, you can email me at 1, lightonahill@gmail.com. You can call me or text me at 484-463-7178. You can leave a post. Now don't get ignorant. But you can leave a post. Yep, I said it. Yolanda is like, oh my God. Yeah, I said it because this is about a safe, open space and platform to be honest with your feelings and how you feel. And so we don't always have to agree, but we will respect each other always at all times. But if you want to leave a message on the website or, however you want to reach out, feel free to do so. And share your thoughts, and I will be sure to share them if you do so after this live is over. But I just think it's not fair. I think that we should let the day be for what it is intentionally meant to be, which is to celebrate moms. You understand what I'm saying? And I think the same for Father's Day. I think regardless of how many fathers we're talking about, I think if it's Father's Day, fathers who do that recognition and that honor should be honored. And it shouldn't have to come with, the I honor you, but I honor her too because, she had to be mom and dad.
I think sometimes though when it comes to these celebrations, people have to think about the effort that goes into being a parent. And I think it's tough for fathers and mothers. It's tough being a parent for anybody. Right? No, it's a tough job. Does it come with a manual? Don't get any rules and instructions. You kind of go as you go along and off of your own experience. But when it comes to the celebrations, I think when you think about why things should be celebrated, a lot of times it's because you think about the effort that an individual has put into something. You get rewarded for your efforts. You get recognized because you're doing your everyday life, and it goes on the regular everyday, you're doing it. And you don't get recognition on the everyday. So on these special days when somebody can take the time and say, oh boy, this person's put all of this effort in. So now we're going to say, yay, we want to celebrate them. And when it comes to the effort, it's like you want to do it. So even though it's Mother's Day and Father's Day, when you're talking about the effort, if a parent or a mother or father doesn't put any effort in it, even though you're saying the days are for Mother's Day should be celebrated for mothers, and Father's Day should be celebrated for fathers. What do you think about those mothers and fathers that really don't put effort in, but they are mothers and fathers? Should they still be celebrated just the same way?
So the point is, if you are a mother who, because honestly, not all mothers who should be celebrated
this way
are celebrated on Mother's Day.
Right.
So my point is not so much as who deserves to be celebrated. It is, if you're going to celebrate, like, let the day be for who it's intended to be for. You understand what I'm saying? Because when it comes to effort, there's a whole lot of hurt and wounded and jacked up children, young and grown, who all jacked up and messed up because of the things that they did not get from their parents, mom and or dad, or jacked up because of the things that they did get from their parents, mom and or dad. So I think my point is not so much as to deciding and determining and playing judge and juror as to if a person, if you're a mother, do you deserve to be honored on Mother's Day? I'm just saying that if the holiday is Mother's Day, then I think that the mothers, it should be that. And that is who we should make it about. Again, whether it is you're a mother biologically or not. If you have been that person, that mother figure, in that nurturing figure in somebody's life, I want to say hello to my beautiful, I love this woman, Tania Smith. I want to share her comment. She said, my mom still believes she was the father and the mother. All lies. It is not a twofold thing. She is celebrating for who she is to me, not just what she has done for me. Because the truth is, there was a lot of ways she wasn't who I needed. My gram raised me, but I honor her now. Yes. Yes. Because, again, you know, Tania, I was raised, people are shocked to find out when they see me with my dad or they hear me talking about my father, that my dad wasn't raised, I wasn't raised in the house with my dad. And my dad had some experiences that caused him not even to be able to always be the father that he is right now. You know, so I'm grateful beyond to have a relationship with my dad right now. But the truth is, my dad was not in the home with us. And even not physically being in the home, because you do have fathers and mothers who are not in the same home, but that doesn't prevent them from being, excuse me, the mom and dad that they are supposed to be to their children. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know, my mom, you know, listen, if it needed to be done, Victoria Jeanette Warner did it. If it was fixing a car to get back and forth, if it was painting furniture, if it was putting up stuff, nailing, hammering, whatever, seamstress, whatever needed to be done, she did those things. And there was a time, let me be honest, there was a time where I too have at some point in time said, you know, on Father's Day, I'm celebrating my mom because that's who's been a mother and a father to me. But as I matured, I'll say, and realized some things, the truth of the matter is Mother's Day is intended for mothers to be celebrated. And Father's Day is intended for fathers to be celebrated. Now, I'm gonna make a statement from the perspective of my faith, and that I am a believer, and I believe God, and I know God to be a provider. I know God to be a protector, a sustainer, a keeper, all these things. When we say things like, I had to be a mother and a father to my children, that's actually not true, because at the end of the day, and again, ladies, moms, gentlemen, whosoever will, you don't have to agree with me, and feel free to share. Feel free to share your input and your thoughts. But my thought concerning that is, I think that can really, I've seen it, I've watched it, I've been the result of it, really cause some unrealistic thinking, as far as I think it also puts unnecessary burdens or baggage on people to feel like they have to try to be mom and dad. So what am I saying? I'm saying that if I had to put words to what I feel, my thoughts about it, I don't think that a mother in the absence of a father has to be mom and dad. I think that a mother in the absence of a father is given a grace by God to not be mother and something that she will never be able to be. But I believe God gives a grace to that woman, to that mother in the absence of a father, to that father in the absence of a mother, to get done what needs to be done as a parent. Because at the end of the day, women, we can't be no father. We can't. We cannot biologically be a father, and symbolically we can't be a father. Why? We don't even know how to think like a man. I don't care what Steve Harvey said. I love Steve Harvey. Yep, I like Steve Harvey. Okay, but at the end of the day, there are things that we have to understand about the opposite sex. You understand what I'm saying? But it's not intended for me to feel like I have to take on the role and the burden of a man to give my children what they would receive from a father, a male figure, if he was present. And vice versa. It's not a man cannot be a woman. He can't. That's I'm gonna throw this little sidebar joke in there. Hi Melanie, hi beautiful, how are you? Melanie said, my opinion on this now is totally different from when I was younger. Absolutely, Melanie, and that's what I was sharing. Like, well, if we have the same opinion, when I was younger, I was going around saying, I'm celebrating Vicky today because that's who was my daddy. I watched my mom do it all. But as I got older and more mature, naturally and spiritually, I began to realize that it is not my mother's ability to become my father that enabled her to do what needed to be done. It's the grace of God that allows her to do what needs to be done as a mom and in the absence of the other parent. It's the grace of God that allows a man, especially a man with daughters, to be the father and then enable him to get other things done in the absence of a mom. And I think Melanie said yes, because at the end of the day, it's not my job to try to father my children. I think it's unfair to me to feel like I would have to put that burden on my back to try to father my children. And I think when we do that, we kind of squeeze or push out or hold up or suppress the grace that God intends to give us to get that done. And not just with parenting, but that's with all things. So that's just how I feel. I feel that we do ourselves a disservice. I feel that we create these unexpected, these unrealistic expectations. I think we give our children the wrong idea, about what they have to carry and what they have to do, in the absence of, like I said, my father. Listen, everybody know me. I love me some John Lines. Okay, that is my daddy. And at the end of the day, and I have said to my father, at one time or another, more than one time, you don't owe me anything. Like, even in your absence and all of the things that caused your absence, you don't owe me anything. You don't have to make that up to me. I want to enjoy my daddy now. I don't want to spend the time trying to figure out and I think that's a great big part of a healing process as well, when we can understand that we do ourselves a disservice, and we do the parent, if you are blessed to at a later time have a relationship with that parent. We do. I really wish I could hear from Tania right now, but if you're still there and you want to share some things, please do. I feel like, if you have the opportunity to have those relationships that was restored with the absent parent, I feel like we owe it to ourselves, bless you, to really allow God to do that, to heal those relationships and to allow the restoration of relationship, whatever that relationship would be coming out of healing. I think one of the worst things we can do, and let me tell you something, I know that it is easier said than done. I know that that's a whole process that is a day-to-day process that has to be worked through. You understand what I'm saying? To embrace a parent who was absent for most of your life or all of your life, especially if that absence caused pain, and caused issues that carry over into our adulthood. I'm gonna say this, and then any of you guys online or Yolanda can say what you think. I know for me, I feel like, well, there actually is a trilogy written about my mom that she is the actual author of. But I always say, like, I feel like a movie could be done about my mom and just how she raised 6 children and the host of others that she, would help along the way, and did it the way that she did, by herself. And it was as I got older that I realized, and this takes absolutely nothing away from her, because I realized it takes a strong person to have that much faith in God, to let God lead you and guide you in rearing one child, let alone 6 kids, and trust God to enable you to do it. So this takes nothing away from even my own mom, but when I look at my own life, and I didn't get married till I was 48. But as an adult, and as I began to mature and grow in different areas and such, I realized that watching my mom take on, the mindset and the role that she did, it was a blessing to me in a multiplicity of ways in my life. It is everything to do with why I am the strong, I'm gonna keep moving individual and woman that I am. But if I tell the truth, I had to find a balance. I had to learn some things because that part of me was hindering relationships and actually I was causing me to have trust issues. And there is a point where being strong becomes something else.
Okay.
You know, like the S word, stubborn. You know, there's a point where it becomes something else. You know, and you become the person who you don't trust other people to help you or get things done. You know, you feel like you have to do it all by yourself. You know, and so getting married at 48, I had to be reminded in my relationship, even in my courting relationship with my husband, that at the end of the day, I can't do it all. You know, I can't be it all. And that God doesn't intend for me to have to put that bag on my back and carry it all. You know, and I realize that there are more than there should be of women and men, fathers, parents, mothers who their life is doing it all. But I just again want to make the point that we have to realize that that is not us being, you know, something that we are not able to be. That is the daily strength and grace of God that allows us in the absence of to do what needs to be done. What say you?
That makes good sense. And I just am a believer that when it comes to this parenting thing and when it comes to thinking about whether somebody should be celebrated for the other opposite parent not being there, it comes to a level of maturity when you realize, okay, even though that one wasn't there, things still got done, and God was the one to allow it to happen. So I am of the greater faith because me myself, I grew up with my mother without my father in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have a relationship with my father, which is amazing. But even in all of the strength of my mother and all the things that she did to be able to not make me feel as if I was missing out on something,
Mm-hmm.
it still was a void there, not having a father in the home,
Mm-hmm.
or not learning certain things from my father growing up. So I'm thinking of people who are saying, well, I'm being the mother and the father, no matter how much effort you're trying to do and be both, in reality, you're not. The experience of the child is still, God intended for us to have both sides. He intended for us to have both of those, that balance right there, to have it. So no matter how much one side is trying to do two, the child itself is still seeing it's just one parent trying to do two. That second part that's supposed to be there is still missing. And you don't really realize where it comes from or that you were feeling that void until you get to be an adult and start learning some things and realize, oh, yeah, my mom told me a whole bunch over here, but that's not the way a man would have done X, Y, and Z. Or that's not the way a father would have. I'll say that because every male is not a father, and every female that has a child is not a mother. So those different characteristics to come from them, even though you can have a lot coming from one, I do believe that God, He intended for separate individuals to be able to give certain characteristics, because there is no one person that has everything. There's no one individual that can give everything to anybody. That's what we wouldn't need God if that was the case. But if we can start learning and understanding that even though somebody can put a bunch of effort into it, if there's a void or a missing person there, accept the fact that God is allowing you to get things done, but also ask Him find out or put people in your life to have those different characteristics come in from another person too. Because I don't believe it comes from one, ever. I'm a single mom right there, but my children have their fathers. Their fathers are single fathers. So I can never say on Father's Day, y'all celebrate me extra because you are with me. Or the same thing. I would hope that the fathers are that they haven't done it, but I would hope they didn't think the same thing because I'm doing my job as a mother. And even though they're not 24/7 in the house of their mother and their father, they are still getting the grooming from their father and their mother. It's still there, even though they're not in the same home.
In the same home. And that is, that is one of the things that I feel like is a myth, that you can't be a whole, healthy, like a whole emotional, healthy person, if you're not raised in a home with both of your parents. I think those are unfair messages that we give, and you teach what you're taught, and so Melanie said, it's a great feeling to have an adult relationship with my father now, and I don't dwell on the past. And that takes maturity. That takes a person who understands that, for whatever the reasons, that was my situation, and I can stay there and miss this opportunity because the key word is that Melanie used also is relationship. You understand what I'm saying? Because one of the things that I pride myself on with my children is, regardless of what material things, what things I could not provide for my children, one of the things I pride myself on as a mother was, it didn't matter what we had and what we didn't have. I have a relationship with my children. And that came out of being the only parent in the home, so I think that we do a disservice when we teach, or pass down the idea that, you're going to go through this, you're going to feel that, you're not going to have this because you're in a single parent home. Because everybody who's in a single parent home doesn't mean that there's the absence of relationship with the other parent. Like you were saying, your children have a relationship with their parents. My children, and I used to struggle actually, like, do I even call myself a single parent? Because even though my children weren't in the same home being raised with their dads, like, they had some type of relationship with their dad. So, but I had to learn that there are many senses that, yes, I was a single parent. In the sense of the absence of a male in the home. But I learned some things, fortunately. Everybody doesn't learn it at the same time. Everybody doesn't learn it in the same way. And some people never learn it. Unfortunately, but I was fortunate enough, and it came out of relationship. It came out of my relationship with God, that through other types of relationships, God is able to meet our needs. And there is no stipulation that says, if you are in a single parent home, or if you're an orphan in an orphanage, or if you don't have this, I can't do that. If this is your situation, I can't do that. Or if this is your, you know what I'm saying? That God doesn't work like that. So I think we do a disservice again to ourselves and to what we pass down and pass on when we teach certain things or we say certain things. And one of those things that I think is a disservice is what started this whole dialogue, is when we say I should be celebrated on Father's Day because I had to be a mother and a father. No, you had to do things differently due to the absence of a father figure in the home. But you didn't have to be, and they never gonna be able to be a mother and a father. And that goes the other way around, to men as well. Regardless of the absence of a mother or a woman figure in the home, you ain't never gonna be no woman. You're never going to be. And why is that important? Why do I keep saying that? Because only a woman can be a mother. I mean, if you just think of it at the smallest of facts, only a father can be a man. A man can be a father. So at the end of the day, it comes down to, it's not always, I want to go back to how God still has a way of giving us what we need when we acknowledge that we need it. Tania said earlier in the conversation that my mom still believes she was the mother and the father. All lies, and I love her for her honesty and transparency, because that's what helps. That's what heals and delivers. Okay, it is not a twofold thing. She is celebrated for who she is to me, not just what she has done for me. And then she said this. She said, because the truth is, there was a lot of ways she wasn't who I needed. My gram raised me, but I honor her now. And at the end of the day, that is the epitome of this grace that I'm talking about. Now, everybody doesn't have a grandmother who can step in and take that space and, and take up do what the absence of the other parent is not doing. But that's the epitome of the grace that I'm talking about. That although she didn't have her mom in the way that she wanted her and needed her, as she said, she still became this amazing person because the grace of God met her need in a different way. And it doesn't minimize the process that we have to go to and through in the absence of those parents. But the message is, one of the messages that I would like to relay is that the absence of one thing does not always cancel out, what needs to be done. And we don't have to expect unrealistic accolades to get the acknowledgement and recognition for it. We just don't. Because guess what? Even I myself, as a parent at one time or two or three or four, I had these moments where, I realized that I may have been thinking I was one thing and doing one thing, and that, my children felt a certain way. And I found out at different points in my life, no, it wasn't what I thought. I thought I was doing this and being this, and that's not what my children were perceiving, so it can go, it's not a black and white thing. It's not a, this or that thing. There's so many dynamics to it. And, I just wanted to share the thought that I get it. I understand why people say things like that and actually believe, things when they say I should be celebrated on Father's Day because I've been a mother and a father, or I should be celebrated on Mother's Day because I've been a father and a mother. That's not true. That's not true. In many senses, it's not true. I get it. I understand where it's coming from. But I think we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our children to really process that a little differently and relay that a little differently. You know, maybe something to the tune of, you know, I wasn't, you know, well, just like I said, you know, we didn't have this or that, but still, you know, God allowed us to, you know, because the message should be that in spite of, you can still. You understand what I'm saying? In spite of, y'all know I like my ... You know, you can still. Like, what happened to that message? You know, and I don't have to put on these baggage and carry these loads that is not intended for me to carry. You know, why don't we teach the message that, you know, but in even in the absence of, God can still. Well, everybody don't believe in God. Well, that's true. That's true. But guess what I learned? And somebody might disagree. It don't matter. I have learned that one of the beautiful things about God is that God has a grace for the non-believer. How do we know that? Because if God didn't have a grace for the non-believer, none of us would have made it to the believer point. Okay? You're right. Y'all catch that next week. Maybe. You know, if God didn't have a grace for the non-believer, we'd all been wiped out. You know, screw up number one. We would have been, I have no need of thee. You know, no. God don't work like that. And so even to the parent who has not come into the knowledge of God yet, who doesn't believe in God, who doesn't go to church, who don't know a thing about prayer, who don't know a thing about calling on the name of the Lord, you know, God still has a grace for that person. He still has a grace for that parent. You know, there's still a call on that parent. There's still a call on that child. You got great, great, great people who, if you listen to their testimonies, they grew up with no parent, for real, let alone the absence of a parent. And still, yet they became these great people. Why? Because when God got a plan for your life, your circumstances don't matter. And I feel like that's the message perhaps we should spend more time processing and relaying. And again, that's just my little humble opinion, you know, one of 6 children from a mother who did the darn thing alone. You know, so I'm not just speaking all willy-nilly like this is just my opinion about something I don't know nothing about. You know, I've been there. You know, I had to release my children to their dads who they had the money, they had the resources to do things that I couldn't do. You know what I'm saying? But I was determined that I wasn't going to let stuff rob me of a relationship with my children. What say you?
Instead of being the mommy and the daddy, just be the best
Just
mama
be the best damn doggone rocking mama you can be. And that is what will still be celebrated on days. First of all, the celebration shouldn't just be on Mother's Day, even though Mother's Day is the allotted day. You know, you have to be appreciating your mama every day.
Yes, you should.
You know? So, but again, that is a day that is intentional to point out and so forth and so on. But just be the best mom you can be in the absence of. Be the best father you can be in the absence of. You know, and watch the beautiful and the goodness and the wholesomeness, you know, and the confidence and the courage, that comes out of that. Because when you instill those things into children, those children become great. Those children become fully, functional, well-rounded, individuals when you teach them that.
That's what we want. We want good, healthy young children. We want healthy adults too. So even for those of you who have still been thinking, well, my mama was my mama and my dad, maybe that's a point that you might, a healing that you need. Maybe identify that as, okay, maybe I need to do some work. Or if you're the person on the other side saying, well, I feel like I need to be both things, realize nobody is everything.
Yeah.
There's something that you're like, or talk to your children about it and be able to get another level of perspective or understanding. Because just like Amanda said, sometimes we think that we're being super moms and we're being all things to the children. Just what you might be putting a whole bunch of effort into nothing. You put all those work
because it ain't perceived like that,
right?
And again, I want to be very clear. Y'all know I like to be clear. I want to be very clear that I am not saying all mothers deserve to be acknowledged on Mother's Day, but that's not my opinion. That's not my place to say that. I can't speak to, but I have enough sense to know that on Mother's Day, when a whole lot of people are being celebrated and want to be celebrated, Mother's Day is one of the most painful times for a whole lot of people. Why? Because they didn't have a positive mothering experience. So and the same for a dad. Father's Day is a tough time for a whole lot of people because they didn't have the father experience, that we consider, the you made it. Y'all know what I'm saying. So we can't. So again, my point is not to say that to determine or define what justifies a mother to be celebrated on Mother's Day. That's not my point. That's not an issue that I even feel like hi Deacon Pat. So we're talking about the whole idea of mothers feeling like they should be celebrated on Father's Day because they had to be quote unquote mom and dad, and dads feeling like they should be celebrated on Mother's Day because of the absence of a mother. And in a nutshell, as we wrap it up, and please go back and take a look at the whole recording. But my point in the beginning and still now is that we do the grace of God a disservice. We do ourselves a disservice. We do, our children a disservice when we allow them to believe that we have to become something that we could never really be in order to survive, in order to make things work, in order to, at the end of the day, a woman does not have to become a mother and a father. What she is a woman, a mother who God gives a grace in the absence of a father to get done what needs to be done. And so, as always, I love and appreciate you guys. And thank you for joining us. And I feel like this is going to be another conversation because, as I said, feel free to share your thoughts, whether you do it to LOAH Light on a Hill and LOAH Live via email, which is the number 1, lightonahill@gmail.com, whether you call me or text me at 484-463-7178, whether you go to the website and leave a post or a message, or however you want to get in touch, reach out, share your thoughts, and let's talk. Let's talk about it. So, until we meet again, this has been another wonderful, unscheduled, off the cuff, unscripted time that we have had together. And keep a lookout. I did post the announcement of the series that is coming. We spoke about it months ago and said that it was going to be happening, and it's here. But keep a lookout for the Heart of a King series. It's going to begin with a big kickoff. If you haven't already, make sure you go to the LOAH Light on a Hill LOAH Live page, and you can go down to the upcoming events, I believe, and click on it and say that you're going, or look in your inbox on Messenger, and you'll see an invite there as well. And join us. There are limited seats if you want to join us in person. The address is forthcoming. The link, because it's going to be an in-person event, but also streamed live. The link will be provided at a later date, and it's going to be monumental. You know, that's all I can say. I ain't even saying that to pump you up. I'm saying that because it's true. It's going to be monumental, and so it's the kickoff to a whole series that's happening. It's going down, okay? And it's not limited to women, to men. Excuse me. Women are very much so invited to this event, because who better to speak what's on the heart of a king than the king himself? But also the queen needs to hear what the king is thinking and feeling and experiencing from the king's perspective. So spread the word, you know, join us. It's going to be on Thursday, March the 20th, and it's going to be monumental. So if you haven't already, go ahead and RSVP. If you're going to RSVP for that event because you're coming in person and want a seat, you want to text your RSVP at 464-463-7178, or you want to email your RSVP to the number 1 lightonahill@gmail.com. Very important. Not the event you want to just show up to, because you might not get a seat, and we don't want that. So come out and enjoy it, and join us, because you know what I say, we want to talk to you, we want to hear from you, and that is just going to be bananas, like the yellow in my lower mug. It's going to be crazy, and we hope to see you guys there. So again, thank you for joining us, and join us again, because I feel like this conversation will be continued, and maybe we'll have a special guest when we come together again. But join us, and let's do what we know to do, which is do what's right. Okay, so bless you, and remember that purpose is not just what you do, it's not just what you have, it's literally who you are. Bless you, and thank you for joining us. And don't forget to RSVP. Love you guys, each and every one of you.